There's a new stud in town. What'd you hear about him? Well, they said that he's big and strong and good looking.
Gotta get your act together.
Harder, stronger, harder, stronger, harder, stronger.
Hairy, sweaty, macho.
Real physical strength. He'll never stop.
What an amazing podcast it is. I'm going to do a Q&A, and it's as simple as that. I solicited for questions. You guys gave them to me, and then I answer them. First question comes from Golden Foam Notes. Golden Foam Notes. I'm going to say a beer fan. Golden Foam Notes. Here's a handsome fella in a bow tie. I'm 50. I am active, but it's getting a lot harder to lose weight. Thinking of doing intermittent fasting and start tracking calorie deficit. Any suggestions? Do that. I don't know what your suggestions what suggestions you're looking for. If you're looking to lose weight and it's not working out for you, you have to start tracking your food. There are a lot of gurus out there who are going to tell you that, just stop eating this or start eating this and you will lose weight. And the bottom line is from a purely technical standpoint, let's not attach any feelings to it. Weight loss, weight gain is based on the overall intake. Now, there are combinations of foods, there is macronutrient combinations that are going to be more healthy and more sustainable in the long run. I've always talked about how the importance of having a high protein diet. But you can have a very high protein diet and still be a big fat pile and not lose any weight. The reality is when it comes to the size of your body, the amount of calories you eat is all that matters. Okay? The size of your body, big, small. You want it to get smaller, eat less calories. You want it to get bigger, you eat more calories. Far too many people have been tricked by new wave diets, whether it be carnivore, keto, paleo, plant-based and everything, and they think like, well, if I do this, everything should be okay. And they continue to eat too much, So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of the aforementioned diets. What I am saying is that if you are not losing weight, you're eating too many calories. That's irrefutable science. Fuck all you people talking about insulin this and blood sugar that. If you are not losing weight, you are eating too many calories. Now, that is not to say that if you really want to lose weight and look good naked, that calories is the only thing you should worry about, because you can eat Snickers bars and Twinkies and Pop-Tarts and you happen to eat 1,100 calories of those said foods, you will lose weight. I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that at all. A, it's not sustainable. B, you'll feel terrible. C, you're going to be it'll be very hard to continuously lose body fat because you're not going to be very efficient at digesting and utilizing protein, and protein synthesis will be almost gone. So, you want to give your body food that it can be fueled by, that feels nourishing and is dense in macronutrients and micronutrients that are good for your body, but also you have to regulate your calories. So if you're not tracking, you need to start. And it sucks. Here is the big overarching reality. Really getting control of your eating fucking sucks, and it is a pisser, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of discipline. I really hope I didn't discourage people. I hope I opened your eyes. But if you are 100 pounds overweight, losing 60 of those can be done with relatively small amounts of effort. If you're 20, 25 pounds overweight, honestly, who amongst us hasn't had those, you got family stress or work stuff, and you just kind of let yourself go for a couple months, and you look at the mirror and you're like, I don't like what I'm seeing, right? The average American, we're not this talk of we're so obese. No, we're not. No, but we're overweight, and all of us, myself included, we've all had that point where we've been 10, 15, 20 pounds overweight. I think that is the lion's share of people who are unhappy with the way that they look. You're in that ballpark, or you're a guy, you're skinny fat. You're not with your clothes on, your friends would never be like, hey, fat fuck over there. But you're kind of you're soft and you're pudgy. I get it. Okay. You want to change that. That takes effort. And it's not going to be just cutting out carbs. It's not just going to be like adding steak. It's going to be that's effort. You have to monitor how much you're eating, and you have to really realize and do that for a prolonged period of time, so that then you can make an adjustment and then bring down the caloric intake. Okay, so start tracking. I do think intermittent fasting is a great way to help you reduce your caloric intake. I think it's a fantastic way. I think that we have, again, there's been this narrative that you have to kind of constantly eat these small meals to fuel yourself, keep your blood sugar stable and to keep your protein synthesis up, stay anabolic and stuff like that. Look, if you're Jay Cutler in his prime, sure. If you're a mass monster that carries around tons of muscle and is incredibly lean, that's probably true. If you're a professional competitive athlete or even just an amateur competitive high-level athlete and anaerobic performance is very important to your sport, I think that that's true. I doubt there's very many people at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs that are eating twice a day or 3 meals a day. They're probably eating 6, 7 meals, 5, 6, 7 to keep themselves fueled and to have readily available muscle glycogen, right? But that's not us. That's not people. That's not you. That's not me. And so if you want to skip breakfast, if you want to truncate your eating window, if you want to eat 8, I like the 16-8 where you fast for 16 hours every day and you eat for 8 hours a day. And then you can either do 2 or 3 meals within that period. I think that that's a great protocol. That's all based on, again, got to give props where props is due. Because so many people, you guys think memes are bad, right? Where someone will just take a meme and then just put it up there and take credit for it, like as if they came up with it. The fitness world is crazy. I don't know I can't tell you how many dudes I've seen, mostly dudes, pushing their cutting edge intermittent fasting protocol when Martin Burkhan has been doing it for like 15 years. So yeah, 16-8 is always great. You can also do alternate day fasting. Some people like that. I can't do that. I have too active a lifestyle to go like a couple days a week not eating, because then I have to really commit those days to being rest days. And I don't want to do that because my schedule is too kind of unpredictable for me to be like, oh, fuck, I'm not eating today. But I could really, I have some free time. I can go get a wrestling class and I can go get jujitsu in or whatever, Every day 16-8 is a great protocol. Now, you mentioned you're over 50 and you're having a hard time losing weight. Yeah, that's life. I'm not insulting you. That's the reality. You get to over a certain age, it comes harder. And then there's these milestones. You get to about 50. I'm in that ballpark where you are, where recently I've realized like, wow, it really is getting even harder than it was 2 or 3 years ago. Let's say you're Foam Suds McGee or whatever your fucking name was. If you are drinking, if that is part of the deal, I'm going to your profile here. You can't. Does that mean you can't drink ever again? Of course not. Does that mean you can't have a couple beers throughout the week because you really enjoy it? No. But alcohol is the number one. I almost say not. Okay. In my opinion, modern lifestyle and stress is the number one reason people, by and large, don't have nice physiques. When you see those videos of Woodstock, when you see those kids in PE class in the 50s, and you're like, wait a second, everyone looks great. Everyone's thin and lean and muscular, right? I think the number one culprit as to why we all don't look like that is stress and modern lifestyle. It's just too much spread out over all of our day, and we're getting paid less proportionately than ever before to do more work, and we're freaking out. That's my opinion. The next reason is when adults completely overlook. They go to the gym, they train, they start making better decisions nutritionally, and they drink all the time. I have had so many people in my life, be it professionally or personally, bitch and moan about how they're trying so hard and they do it, and then they're like, yeah, but how am I break down kind of their daily eating, and I say, these are the choices you can make. And I go like, how many do you drink? Include alcohol. And for women, not all the time, but by and large, it's like, yeah, but I'll have a half a bottle of wine, maybe a bottle every night. Guys, it's It's just a 6-pack. I mean, the guy who hits 12-pack or more a night knows there's something up, right? I had a guy the other day. He said he's a plumber. He was thin. He was wasn't a client. He was a guy on Instagram, and he reached out. He was thin. He looked fine, but he's like, I'll hit 16, 18 beers a night, every night. I work really hard. I've started working out. You know, my family's. It doesn't. You know, I'm not like the guy who I spend plenty of time with my kids, but I get home on the way home from work every day. I stop and I get beer, and he's like, and then I crack a couple before dinner, have a couple with dinner, hang out with the kids, put them to bed. Dust a couple more, and I said, I'm not here to judge you, and I'm in admittedly very weird territory on this one because I'm in recovery. I've been sober a long time. So I hate those guys who get clean and then they go around telling everybody else how to live their life. That's not me, and I don't want to kill your buzz. That's not my point. Alcohol rips, it kicks ass, and if you can drink like an adult, you should, because you've earned that right. I can't. I have a problem with alcohol. I'm not saying that you do. What I am saying is when we're talking about fitness, when we're talking about looking good in the mirror, it's a disaster. Because not only is it usually empty calories, but it also completely chemically alters things for the negative. Hormonally, guys, it's a disaster. It's a disaster as far as testosterone and estrogen and all the fun stuff we like to take care of, right? Alcohol is a disaster. Also, here's another big factor that we don't like to admit. It destroys your inhibitions. So let's say you have all the best laid plans to take care of your eating and from wake up time until 8 p.m. and then you go out to the bar to watch the game and you have 6 beers. Leaving the bar, you're like, fuck my diet. Where's Jack in the Box? Where's, let's get some pizza. And yeah, that's the reality, okay? So if you're having trouble, especially as we get older, I think we all kind of have this at least instinctive idea that when we get older, food becomes more of an issue that we have to kind of monitor. But very, very very seldom do I hear people talk about the fact that, but I drank all through my 20s and I looked amazing. And I go, yeah, but you're 50 and it's not the same. I watched this clip the other day of this girl. It was heartbreaking. Okay? I'm not trying to make, I'm not going to give any names or anything, but I think it was from My 600-Pound Life with that, because that's the one with the doctor, right? The funny doctor with the accent. He's like, no, you can't be eating you're not on a diet, you're fat, you eat too much. Anyway, she was talking, and she said, she was very, very Southern and very big. And the doctor said, how many sodas do you have a day? What do you drink in a day? Do you drink any water? She's like, no, but I have 6 sodies a day. And the doctor said, sodies? Is that soda? And I don't think it was a female doctor. I don't think she was being insulting. I think she was trying to clinically make sure she got everything straight. And she's like, yeah, my mom told me that if I have sody, as long as I drink some water after, it kind of washes it out. So the doctor said, you have 6 sodas a day, full regular undiet sodas. That's, I'm trying to do the rough math. It's 750 calories, right, of pure sugar. Well, there wouldn't be that clip. That clip wouldn't exist if it was a 6-pack of beer. Yet it's worse because the same kind of blood sugar problems you're going to have from drinking 6 sodas, you're also going to have on top of that, like down chain problems hormonally, and then equally, if not more calories, especially if you're drinking good beer. 6-pack, it can seem like, if you're a seasoned drinker, a 6-pack doesn't seem like that crazy, right? A 6-pack a night, but it is a disaster. You're just now swimming up a really, really heavy stream. As we get older, that's something else that you absolutely have to look out for. Now, I want to reiterate, I'm not saying you can't ever drink alcohol and have a good physique. Of course you can. But it has to be something that is treated like a dessert or like a treat, not as something that's part of a lifestyle. As frankly, it should be, right? Everyone works hard and you know, family life and things get stressful. I get that. You deserve the right as an adult to be able to blow off steam how you see fit. And I'm not trying to prevent you from doing so. But don't lose sight of the very real kind of, and I'm talking about the dangers of alcohol, right? Alcoholism is where you get the, you know, cirrhosis and serious liver conditions, and then obviously down chain cardiac problems. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just like you're gonna, you know, man boobs and a pot belly and lethargy, and you know, you'll be a little bit more short tempered. Those are things that come with kind of moderate, consistent drinking, you know. So that's just something to watch out for. And again, I wanted to use. I'm not saying that's what is the case with you, dude. I did want to use your question though as a jumping off point to say that, because I do think it's important. And here's another thing. I was watching Reacher the other day, and the guy who plays Reacher, I like that guy. He seems cool, but he's jacked and ripped. Okay, and apparently the character of Jack Reacher eats pie and drinks beer all the time and never has, you know, 350 grams of protein and plain white rice, which is absolutely what that guy eats to look like that. But don't get fooled into the number one. And this was, by the way, this was a purposeful choice artistically to show the kind of the duality of marketing and the commercialized nature in which we can see receive media. In Fight Club, and Chuck Palahniuk, who wrote the book, and David Fincher, who did the movie, they actually made this as a plot point in the movie. Tyler Durden, the character, talks about how silly it is when he sees the underwear model. Is that what a real man looks like? It's silly to spend all day in the gym trying to look like that guy.
I felt sorry for guys packed into gyms, trying to look like how Calvin Klein or Tommy Hilfiger said they should. That what a man looks like?
Self-improvement is masturbation. Now self-destruction.
But Tyler Durden literally is the ideal, physique icon of all men. All guys have at some point have seen that picture of him, you know, sitting up against the car, smoking a cigarette, shirtless, and you're like, Jesus Christ, I want to look like that. 98% of modern men have at some point looked at Tyler Durden shirtless and gone, that's what I want to look like. And that was on purpose, because Tyler Durden drinks beer, eats cereal, smokes cigarettes, doesn't work out. But they wanted to make sure that the contrast came from Brad Pitt being in the best shape he's ever been in. And he worked his ass off, not drinking beer, not eating cereal, and training like a madman so that he could be this incredible alpha male figure. So don't get confused by the character. Christian Bale in American Psycho goes to all these hoity-toity restaurants eating, you know, fat-laden, creamy kind of gourmet food and foie gras, rushing it down with the duck breast charcuterie board and all this fun stuff, the charcoal endive. And he has 10 cocktails a night. Patrick Bateman does that. Christian Bale, in order to be that guy, I've read about it, seen interviews about it 20 times. Chicken breasts, green vegetables. When he felt really drained, they would add in they would give him some sweet potato or rice. But for the most part, it was just constantly really lean protein, chicken and fish and green vegetables. And that was it. And he said, it sucked. I hate it. But this was my job as an actor. I had to look like this. But then when they go and they film, the character does all these different things. Don't get confused. Don't let Hollywood butt fuck your brain into thinking that that's the way things work. No, to look like a movie star, you have to act like the character in the movie doesn't. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's just like, look, if you could get a fairy tale relationship by acting like the people in romantic comedies, we'd all have fairy tale relationships. That's not how shit works out, you know? It's a lot dirtier in real life. All right. Good show. Love you. Thank you so much to everybody who submitted questions. If you're looking for more personal help, my Patreon offers that to you. Also, if you just want to pitch in, the smallest tier, I appreciate every single piece of that, because I just can't believe that people would want to, their hard-earned money that to invest it into making sure that I can help build this show. It means a lot to me, and I really appreciate it. Also, the top tier gives you the availability to have me as your trainer, both with nutrition and training and lifestyle habit stuff. And so that's available to you. I will put the links in the show notes below. And in this crazy mixed up world that makes you think that nobody cares, remember, I do. Be good.